Hi, this is Tim Hinton, the host of the Marching Roundtable podcast. Thank you for being here to watch this conversation. While you're here, we hope you'll subscribe. Thank you to the sponsor of this podcast, Fred J. Miller Incorporated, found at fjminc.com.
Everything on the floor just felt amazing. It was electric. Like, we didn't need to say it to feel it. It was just something that went through all of our bodies. And then that's just how it felt the entire performance. And then when I caught the last toss, it was just like I did it. And, we always talk so much about finishing. Like, you have to finish your job. You do it the entire season, but that's what it's for. It's for finishing it and doing it at the last show the best that you want it, and leaving that impact. And I was just happy that I did it.
That's Olivia Wiles talking about the record-breaking season by the Avon Winter Guard in 2024 and their show, Voila. On this podcast, Olivia and her father, Daniel Wiles, the director of the Avon Guard, talk about this special season, and we talk about Olivia's life in color guard.
I think that it's all about the mark that you leave on other people. It's the way you inspire them. It's the way that you push them and you hold them accountable. And, guard is one big life lesson too. You learn more about yourself and about confidence and about the people around you. And I think that being able to leave that mark on other people and inspire them and encourage them to do the same and to learn these life lessons is kind of what it's, not what it's all about, but what it is all about.
I know you're going to enjoy this conversation. Remember, you can find other podcasts, video interviews, and lots of other resources about color guard at marchingartseducation.com. Enjoy the conversation. Hey everybody, it's Tim Hinton, the beast of the marching arts, and I have been so looking forward to this conversation. Everybody, I'm so excited. We're talking to Olivia Wiles and her father, Daniel Wiles, of course, from Avon. Amazing season that they had. So let me say hi to them. Daniel, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. And Olivia, the star of the moment, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And here to ask questions tonight, two real ringers in the world of color guard, Jessica Slabaugh from American Fork. Jessica, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And Dr. Mary White, how are you, Mary?
Always excited to be here, Tim, especially tonight when this is a real star.
Yeah,
Sorry,
absolutely.
Daniel, not talking about you.
Well, I think they're both stars. So, Jessica, you had a fantastic WGI with American Fork. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
And do you want to say anything about how long have you been there? A long time.
Yeah, I've been the director at American Fork since 2012, so it's been a while. And we're just excited. Ever since COVID, we've kind of been on this being able to go back to WGI every single year, and so it's been nice to see like the progression and the movement of that program.
And they came in third place. Is that accurate? They had bronze medal?
Yeah, for Scholastic Open.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Medaling in Dayton is like unbelievable. I mean, seriously, it is such an accomplishment. So congratulations. Dr. Mary White. Mary, you're one of the original founders of the Marching Roundtable podcast, of course, and you've been around color guard a really long time.
Do we have to bring that up all the time, Tim? Always age comes up when we talk, I'm telling you. But I have been around a long time. I taught also some medalist color guards back in the day. I taught Lake Mary High School, I taught Paradigm, and I taught the Alliance of Miami. And for Olivia, who is proud, no, I'm just kidding, Olivia. I'm sure you at least heard of one of those color guards. Is that right?
Oh, we've seen Olivia knows her history. You could do some quizzing.
That's so great. I love you know your history. So that's who I taught.
Also, the first thing we have to say, of course, is to both of you, Daniel and Olivia, congratulations. Like, wow, a record-breaking high score for Scholastic World Guard is absolutely amazing. So how are you guys feeling?
It's been really magical because, anybody who knows that night was really, really magical because, you teach for so long and your whole thing is trying to gear towards these finals performances in that moment. We talked to Mr. Harloff, our band director, had a really nice thing to say that when you look at the kids, and that's just who they are, they're still kids. They love Skittles, they're kids. To think of the pressure to be in those moments and then to deliver. And as a staff, we just stood there and we could feel it. You know, we knew it was happening. So it was just magical. And I think that was the thing that made it so wonderful, because what every director wants, everybody wants to be incredible on the night in front of that crowd. And it was incredible. I'm still on that high, really.
That's awesome. And do you know that I could kind of feel that awe while I was not there, but I watched Avon High School 3 times that weekend, you know, that was available to me on Flow Marching. And I could feel that people were awed by the performance, and the performers themselves were like, this is amazing. We are just doing it. Is that what you kind of felt, Olivia?
Yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful for the instructors for always pushing us and holding us accountable and to a higher level and just creating this beautiful show. And obviously the kids they're just such a wonderful group full of camaraderie and passion, and we all just love each other, and it's really contributed to our success because we're able to push each other and be pushed by our instructors at the same time. And it just feels like a family. It's not a guard, not just a guard, it's a big family.
You really could feel that. Well, that's like the ultimate to me, is like when you see the show, you see the tricks, you see the incredible execution and the excellence, but to feel, oh, I'm watching it on television, to feel that, I mean, that's quite a feat.
It was really special all year. You know, I mean, we knew we had something around January. Once they hit that point, you know, whenever you're done writing the show, then you give them about a week, 10 days, and it really starts to absorb. And it was during that time, the staff, we knew, you know, obviously the night, you know, I want to tell that story just because not many people know how we came about with the song and everything. But being able to get to that point with something like that, I will. I'll take us back just because it's important to get there. So, you know, as every guard director, you don't really always know exactly what you're doing. I won't even lie that on Labor Day, Michael Townsend and I were just kind of, you know, we didn't really have something we loved. And, but the band a year ago had played some music by Andre Rieu, and we were searching him actually. And funny enough, we were just, my wife was upstairs, I'm downstairs, this is Labor Day weekend. And finally she writes to me, have you seen this? And I open it up immediately, the video I've shared with everyone, the 7-minute video where you kind of hear about her disease and all that she's been through to get to this point. And so I listen to it, I cry my eyes out. I mean, cry. I send it right to Michael, I type Voila, and he does a 721, whatever it is, to listen to the entire thing. He sends it back to me, Voila, and we knew. So, I mean, it was just magical. And then we really spent the next 4 months just hoping no one else was doing it, you know, because we could see that there were a lot of views happening, but a lot of them were happening in Europe. You know, a lot of at that point, I believe it was 11 million views, but, you know, 9 of them were in Europe. So we're like, okay, nobody knows about this thing yet. And people probably did, but we were just 4 months of, should we release it? Should we tell people? Do we want to find out that someone else is doing Voila as well? So that was fun. That never happened, of course. That was one of those. And then, of course, when we got into the season and all that we had done to create it, we just kind of could feel, you know, one of the things that you said that's the best is they were just such performers. It was almost like teaching professionals, you know, and that's the kind of things we always talk to them about. Don't forget, no matter what, yeah, you got to catch, you got to blah, 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 but we perform. And that's what I think a lot of people felt over those 3 days, and especially that night.
I know that Jessica's group probably practiced a lot for WGI all the time. I'm not sure what your practice schedule is like at all at Avon High School for the Winter Guard.
Well, go ahead, you tell them, and then you can even tell the
So our typical schedule is usually Monday, Thursday, Friday from 5:45 to 8:45. Oh, Thursday, Friday. Oh, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday from 5:45 to 8:45, and then sometimes before big shows we'll have Friday from also the same time. And then we practice Saturdays, before shows. If we don't have a show, it's typically like about a 9 to 6-ish. But and then we have class. We have guard class during the day 4 times a week. But kind of towards the end of the season, we just found that, we don't want to clean the passion out of the show. So we started to just kind of, we were already such a close group of people. So there were some times where we'd go out to breakfast instead of practicing, or we'd go bowling, or what were some other things that we did?
Oh, it was really just the fun. One day they all learned the Texas Hold'em dance because it really was. They got to that point where Olivia's right. That's a great way to say it. We just kind of reached this point where we knew they were good. I think that we were at a March 4th show and we got a 93. And it really was about like how it was probably difficult just in how do you manage these kids when they know that it's going great and they know it's probably going to end well too. But all we kept driving home was we're trying to be better than we were yesterday. How can we be better than we were yesterday? How can this week's show be better than the one we did last week? And a lot of that's in cleaning and whatnot. But funny enough, if you asked us about practice, the final couple weeks, we had very short rehearsals. Because when I marched, and everyone that ever knows me knows I tell this story. When I marched, I thought we rehearsed too much on show days. I got tired a lot. And I remember being my pesky little self and asking them, why are you making me so tired? So I have a rule that we never practice more than 2 hours on a show day. Now, don't get me wrong. You heard our schedule. It's ridiculous. We practice a lot during the week and whatnot. But funny enough, the WGI weekend, outside of warming up, which takes us about a half hour, 35 minutes, when we were in Dayton that weekend, on Friday, we practiced for 41 minutes. It went so well. They were just so good at all the productions. And on Saturday, we practiced for 38 minutes. And then, Friday, that was Thursday, and then Friday was 38. And on Saturday, we practiced for about 31 minutes. That's how quickly they were just on it. You know what I mean? And when it was happening, we were just trying to get out of the way. You could feel it simmering, that they were ready to just light it up and enjoy it. So we really just tried to get out of the way, honestly.
Olivia, do you want to speak to that about them trusting you to be ready and how that felt?
We always just push each other to accountability. It's always like in between reps, you should always take every single opportunity you get because those build up. If you take one toss in between a rep and you do about 100 reps that night, that's 100 tosses. And that builds up over the season. So we hold each other to that, and we hold each other to staying after guard class for a little and taking something that you're inconsistent on. And, once you do that, you're more prepared. And when you're more prepared, you're more confident. So just everything that we did throughout the season, everything we did for each other, everything that we did for ourselves, holding ourselves accountable to, it just really added up to the point where, we were just confident in what we were doing.
How do you, Olivia, being in front of all of those people, especially at finals, how do you personally keep yourself cool, calm, and collected? Because you handled it like a professional.
I just trust myself. I trust that I've worked for it and put in the work outside of it. And then another thing is, what does worrying do for you? Worrying does nothing for you. And if you go into
that in a bottle right now.
If you go into it confident, like how it feels to do it right. So if you go into a toss and you don't think about what could go wrong, think about how you can do it right. Don't think, just focus, and then you can do it. Believe in yourself.
Oh, I could sit here for days and talk about the accolades of my daughter. We've had some fun classes this past week with Avon, and I witnessed Olivia for 5 years in the World Guard. Really, even with COVID, we had a season here in Indiana, so we had upwards of 8 shows, something like that. And then even the COVID year, as an 8th grader, she was in the World Guard. And then Age of Anxiety, she was a sophomore. The Jane Bond show, she was a junior, and now she's a senior. And her mother and I were laying with her on the couch Sunday, just crying and being sad. And we asked her, we came to that, I got to do this to her, she'll be embarrassed, but we said, you were at upwards of 60 shows in your 5-year career. How many times did you drop at a show? And she said, 3. And we went, what? You know what I mean? She just, honestly, these are the things like, you have to know, we never shoved Olivia into a rifle. Because my wife and I were involved in it, obviously I'm heavily involved in it. I wanted her to want to do it. She couldn't do it because we wanted her to do it. And the funniest story is we have these little, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids can come to these audition days, or not auditions, it was just clinic stuff. And Olivia and I were doing some errands around, I believe she was about 9 or 8, 10-ish around this time. She was 9. And we went in to deliver something, and she saw that this clinic was going on. And she was like, why am I not at this clinic? And I was like, well, you really haven't told us you wanted to be at that clinic. Of course I did. I told you I wanted to be at the clinic. Why am I not at the clinic? And I'm like, I'm the director of all of this. I'm like, you can just go to the clinic right now. She's like, no, I can't. But you are signing me up for this next year. And that was the night I learned Olivia wanted to be a part of it. And then after that, a lot of friends, you've all seen videos. I have videos of Olivia in the backyard with a bike helmet on. And I want to give Janine from Tarpon, I want to give her that, because that's what I asked them, because they do so many wild things too. And I was like, how in the world do these kids even believe they can do that stuff? And she said, we put bike helmets on and we throw the stuff in the air. And as my daughter, of course, I don't want her to get hurt, so I'm like, get your bike helmet on. And she would go out in the backyard. We have all sorts of videos. So many people have seen them. But it was great to watch her grow. But everything that Olivia is, just how great that she is clearly, is all her. All her. I just want to acknowledge that. I mean, she was the week of WGI. It was like 30 degrees here the week before we were on spring break. She's walking out there with her saber, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I have to practice. And I'm like, it's 28 degrees. You're going to break your fingers. We really need you. Can you not do that? But it was always her nature to go out and practice. She went up to the school today and practiced. She has Blue Devil camp this weekend. She's practicing crazy right now to get ready. So,
Olivia, do you remember those early days when you first wanted? He's talking about these early days when you were really little. Do you remember that? Can you tell us anything about how you felt back then?
I mean, I've been around it all my life. I remember like crawling on the tarp when I was, well, I don't remember it. I've just seen pictures. But I remember like even just, running laps around marching band practices, or just sitting there. Yeah. Sitting there. I mean, kind of the first years that I really fell in love with the World Guard were the Forgotten Circus and Oh Night Divine. And I got a guard jacket from one of the moms when I was 11. And I would wear it everywhere, and I was so proud of it. And I would sit in the stands and watch every single practice from the start to them like running around the gym to warm up to the end of their run throughs. And
it would be early rehearsals, and I'd be like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. She'd be up and ready to go before me to go watch these rehearsals. And that's when I was like, okay. And then of course, as a parent, you just wanted to be successful for her. I had no dreams that she would be as incredible as she is. You were just like, I just want it to be fulfilling. I want her to find great friends with it, just like every other kid that's in the program, And the rest of it just became her work ethic, really. That's why it's so magical, really.
Olivia, can you tell us a performer from those days that you looked up to that was in the Avon Guard?
Oh my gosh, Keely, 100%. Keely, I mean, like,
she was the girl that put it in her teeth
Yeah.
and did the double turn in the circus show. That was Keely.
I mean, like, to me, something that impresses me the most is consistency. And, like, even if you throw an 8, if you hit it every single time, it's so much more impressive than something crazy that's inconsistent. But Keely was always so consistent and such an amazing performer. Like, my eyes were always just drawn towards her. And then she marched Blue Devils in 2018 and 2019, and it was just amazing. And then she was in Adios, and just everything about her is amazing. And she always was supportive with it too. She would always talk to me and help me out with just things and encourage me. And it was just watching her was encouraging and inspiring. and talking to her was inspiring because the passion just seeped off of her, and I wanted to be like that too.
That's wonderful. You hinted at it a couple of times. I was going to ask what's next for you. Obviously, you have a season with the Blue Devils coming up.
Yep.
So exciting.
My brother is also in it. He made it on mellophone, so we're both gonna be in
Olivia
it.
has a twin. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Oh,
you know.
I'm a twin brother.
Olivia is
He's
a twin
awesome.
of her brother Aiden, and they're both graduating this year. He was in the Winds. He just had the big weekend too, and they both made it, which made us as parents so happy that they were going to be together too. And it was just incredibly joyful in January when we found out that the two of them had made it.
And you're not a senior, or you are a senior?
I am a senior.
Oh, okay.
I yell at my wife all the time. They were in Montessori school when they were young, so they're actually young seniors. You know, they're only 17. They really, in their class, they should be juniors. And I always blame my wife now that they're leaving early. I'm so mad at her about it. I'm like, well, no one told me when we were putting them at school at 4 that they were going to leave at 17 versus if we would have done it at 5 and 18. So I am struggling the most with that, and I keep barking at her about that. You know, I don't even know that I really got it. As Aiden went off the floor yesterday with the Winds, we broke down again, my wife and I, just because we're kind of realizing that this thing that felt like forever ago is here. And parents always tell you things like, oh, it's going to happen like that. And then you go, blah, 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 yeah, be quiet. And then you get here and you go, yeah, it happens like that. And you wake up and the next day they're leaving. And you feel like it, you just haven't, you hope you've done enough, you know, that's your whole thing.
I'm sure you could go on tour. I'm sure that there's plenty of volunteer spaces.
You know, yes, we are having a really good trip. And as I have told Pat Seidling, and I texted Scott Chandler that all I really want is I just want to drive him and Jay around. That's it. I just want to drive the camper with Jay and Scott, and they just talk about it, and I can keep my mouth shut and learn from them. Because if I could have that experience, I'll drive them up and down the coast, whatever they want. I'll go get them bagels, whatever they want. I'm hoping they at least take me up on this offer one night.
Hey, Olivia, why the Blue Devils? You mentioned that Keely was there. Is that why, or why did you choose this corps?
Not necessarily. I mean, one of my, like, since I was probably like COVID, that's when I really kind of started to focus really heavily on weapon and just technique. But dance and performance has always kind of been like one of my weaker suits. And that's what I've always loved about the Blue Devils. I love just their aspect of performance. I love how they move. I think that I wanted to challenge myself in that area. And also, it's just one of the corps where, you know, pretty much no one from Avon works there, and I thought it was important to. No, wait, that's not stop.
No, it's great. I love this answer.
Yeah, but I wanted to push myself and hold myself accountable in a way that I wanted to learn under, you know, just a variety of people, so I can expand myself in as many ways as possible. And I'm going to college, so you know, it's good to have those experiences where you're putting yourself out there and into situations you're not as familiar with.
My question is, what other specific goals do you have for your future in color guard outside of marching this summer?
I think that it's all about the mark that you leave on other people. It's the way you inspire them. It's the way that you push them and you hold them accountable. And, you know, guard is one big life lesson too. You learn more about yourself and about confidence and about the people around you. And I think that being able to leave that mark on other people and inspire them and encourage them to do the same and to learn these life lessons is kind of what it's, you know, not what it's all about, but what it is all about.
And she's talked a little bit about really winter guard around here. We don't know, you know, there's a lot of different guards around here. I think that I'm happy that she wants to focus to go to school, but if she ends up marching in winter, I bet she would if it had a sense of something she wanted to do, had a good convenience to it. And I know we just say never because
I would love to.
Yeah, I think that it's just, we don't know what that all means right now too, in terms of cards that may or may not come out, you know what I mean, too. So,
I was going to ask about school, like what's next for you academically?
So I would like to work within the music industry and music business. So working with record labels and managing artists, I think would just be kind of my dream job. So I got waitlisted from NYU, which I thought I had no shot at because I'm okay academically, but um
you're really great.
Dad's shaking his head. I think there's more to the story
not,
there.
not in calculus.
He's great.
We're
But
not asking you any calculus questions, I can promise you.
I would love to go there just because their music business program is amazing and the networking that you can do and the opportunities that you get are incredible. But if I don't make it in, then I would like to go to IU Bloomington for pretty much the same thing, arts management.
So I'm going to jump
It's
in and
close
ask
to
you a
home.
question. So Olivia, you said just a moment ago, you said that you wanted to be someone who inspired people, right? So, I mean, I hope that you know that that has happened. I can't believe there have been so many posts, more than one, where people said, man, my aspiration is to be like Olivia Wilde was on finals night, you know, like that last show, like you. It so inspired people. So I do want to rewind for just a second. Can you talk about that last performance? So many people have talked about your performance that night, how it was so on and you were so feeling it, I guess, is one way to say it, I suppose. So can you talk about that? How did that feel? How did that last performance go for you?
I always think that your thoughts should never be right here. Your thoughts should always be back here. You know, when you're about to throw a toss, it should never be like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do this. It should be kind of in the back that you know what you're going to do. So, I mean, I don't remember too much of it because I was so focused, but I remember I just have little points within the show that I really, really want to do well. I mean, I want to do my whole show well, but if there's something bigger or something that maybe I had a mild inconsistency with at some point, you know, I just wanted to make sure that I did that. And one of the things that like was kind of once I did it, I was like, oh yeah, like let's go. It was the two turn up at the front. And when I caught it, like there's like a close up of me and I just like smiled because it was like, yes. And then
I have a good right at that moment too, because I knew that because of course we ride sometimes back and forth. Now she drives, so she never sees me. But like we would talk at home about things that worried her. So I knew what that moment in the show was as well. I'm standing next to John, the sound guy, and she hits that. I see her smile and I look over at John and say, oh, it's on now. Like, because I knew she had just reached her hurdle. And it's about what, 2:40 into the 5:30 show. So I just giggled because I was like, uh-oh, now that's the thing. That was the one. When she got past that, she was gonna light it crazy. So keep going.
but
Sorry.
even for the rest of it, I mean, the guard, we're just all like such good friends with each other. So something that we do a lot in practice is we talk to each other on the floor. And it's not just, oh, you got it. Like we all have our little references with each other, some fun sayings, just parts where we know, like, I'm gonna talk to this person, I'm gonna talk to this person. And everything on the floor just felt amazing. It was electric. Like we didn't need to say it to feel it. It was just something that went through all of our bodies. And then that's just how it felt the entire performance. And then when I caught the last toss, it was just like I did it. And, you know, we always talk so much about finishing. Like you have to finish your job. You know, you do it the entire season, but that's what it's for. It's for finishing it and doing it at the last show the best that you want it and, you know, leaving that impact. And I was just happy that I did it, you know.
Well, when we hugged, she kept, well, I'm crying. I'm crying now. She's crying. She's hugging me. She says, I did it. I did it. I was like, oh my God, you did more than did it. You know, I'm like, that was I mean, you know, obviously for your parent, you just want her to have a great show so she has no regrets. But when I knew it, the whole last minute, you could see it was happening and it was just incredible.
Incredible. I think I don't know when it is, Daniel, but Susie Harloff she's a friend of mine. She has a picture of you like looking down at the show at some point. I don't to your, it's a great picture, and you could just see.
It was, all of those are so incredible to see. It really was like, once we got to the flag feature, we throw the exchange across and Olivia's in the middle of it, boom. That's when I just started crying. I mean, that's when I was like, I knew it had happened. And then I knew people were on me too, so I was just trying not to look terrible, you know what I mean? I didn't want to look blubbery, so I was just trying to hold it together to get down the stairs and not fall as well. So, and I was just looking for her after that. And I've been with her pretty much every year, right at the end, walking off, and that it was just obviously real special. So.
Well, Daniel, I feel like you're in such a unique position because you have this incredible color guard with this wonderful history that performs wonderfully year after year. And then you have this daughter who is now a part of the guard at a really high level. Did you feel any special pressure for her senior year show? I mean, like you talked about having a hard time finding the show. I wonder, was that a piece of it at all?
You know, Matt also said really something good. He said it wasn't that I felt the pressure, but it was personal. You know what I mean? So there was some level of it that, of course, I wanted it to be something special for her. So that's why that night was so incredible when we found the song, because it felt, you know, if any of you have gone in and really read the translations, you know, we spent hours with that with the kids. You know, we went through that translation video. We had a really, you know, I always say it would be wonderful to video that class, because that day, you know, we would stop along the way, things that she was talking about in the song and the things that meant so much to them as 16-year-old girls as well. And they were so vulnerable that day. All the kids were really honest and vulnerable with one another. That's when we really knew that we were going to be able to capture something special through performance, because it meant so much. And then there's just the funny stuff that, you know, I did, I guess, Tim, you know, I felt a little pressure to make sure that it wasn't something that we were, it wasn't one of those, you know. But I think the fact that we just kind of allowed ourselves to hope that it would happen for us. I think, you know, that's a big part of the universe too, you know, and I believe in that as well. So I think that we tried to, you know, open ourselves up, and I really do think it's luck, you know, on some levels it really is. Jessica, you know as well, when you're picking things, you're trying to pick a trend, you're trying to pick, you know, what is someone not doing, you know, what is something unique. But when something like that fell in our lap, you know, Michael and I just giggled that this happened, and it worked out to be in her senior year the way that it did. Because so many people said, have you been sitting on this for years? No, I didn't know about it on August 31st, her birthday. I didn't know until the next weekend, Labor Day, that we knew what we were doing. And even then, we didn't know the blankets, all the things that we came up with to do it. We still didn't know all that yet. We just knew we had something that we really didn't have to edit, and that we knew the pacing of it. Andre Rieu did that. We didn't, you know, that's why we were, well, this thing is perfect. We just tried not to screw it up, all honesty, you know, and it really was like, we owe this version the best thing we can do, because
Right.
It's so incredible. I would have hated it not to be as special as it was for everyone.
I was singing it for days afterward, by the way.
We sang it in class today. You know, I mean, the kids, we would do that one time we were doing a video. We use technology a lot in our class to watch the videos and talk about it. And we video them and we show them all the videos. One day we couldn't get the sound to work, so they just sang the entire song, and that would be something really funny to witness, because of course we don't speak French, so we have a lot of funny things that came out of what we made up for what it was. You know, they were singing all weekend. There's a part, and we made me contour. She's talking about her contours. But the girls all sing me, contour. And today it was funny when we got to that part and they were singing. They just all went into it because they knew as they would walk around the floor, all the funny things they had come up with to sing the song in the language we didn't know. So
That's great.
Olivia, he mentioned that day when you were all learning about the song and the words and everybody was being vulnerable. Would you like to speak to how that felt for you, that experience? Because I think that's important in building that love and camaraderie.
Mhm. I mean, I think this song can resonate with so many people. I think the lyrics talk about, like finding yourself and going past all of your, like the things that you don't like about yourself. Like that's one of the lyrics in the song, and it's about your dreams and your desires. That's another lyric in the song. And I think that we can all kind of find a place where our personalities and our emotions and feelings fit in with the lyrics. And that's kind of what we discussed all together as a group. Even privately, we would be like, this part resonates with me so much. And even on the floor, we would always just think about the lyrics as they were happening that helped us perform it, because we were able to draw that emotion from ourselves and put it into the show. So all season it was just amazing, but it was just great in that moment. When we first heard the song, like as a guard, we watched the actual video of Emma Cook singing it, and then we watched the video with the English translations at the bottom. And when you looked around, everyone was just crying. Everyone had tears. Like there were people with their mascara running at practice. And it was because in that moment, that was the first time so many of the girls had, like, and all of us had heard the song. And then, we were just able to find that within ourselves. So it was just a very emotional experience. But it was also amazing to share that with everyone.
there were some really good ones. There's of course, there's a part in the song where it says, I beg you to stay, please don't go. I won't be myself without you. And we have one of our juniors, and AJ, shout out to AJ. AJ was, she really made it emotional for the seniors right at that moment. We beg you. Every time that part of the song happens, I think about how we're going to lose you guys. And it was really just so many moments like that were really special from them. I think that's the 5th time I've almost cried in the podcast. So.
Me too.
Number 5.
And you asked Daniel what it was like to have his daughter, who's a senior in the guard, but I was going to flip that around to ask Olivia what it was like to have her father as an instructor for all these years. I mean, I've been an instructor, Jessica's been an instructor, Tim's. I mean, sometimes there's some tense and tough moments.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an honor. Like sometimes I'll stand there and I'll look up and I'll see him with his coffee and his water bottle that he always loses. And and it's just, I mean, he creates these beautiful shows along with Dudu and Blake and Hinshaw, but it's crazy to think that everything that we're doing is from here. And I just look up there and I'm like, wow, that's my dad. And he's doing this. And I just think I've never met an instructor like him, because he loves the kids with all of his heart, but he also is so passionate for what he's doing. So it's always cool to just sit there and be like, wow, he's my dad. And we've seen videos from when he was in Avon and the Cavaliers and everything. And it's just so cool because it was so different back then than it is like compared to now. But it's just awesome that, he did what we are doing currently. And now he's teaching us, and he's teaching us at such an incredible and powerful and passionate level that we're all just taking life lessons away from. So it really is an honor, because not only is he like the best dad ever, but he's also really, really awesome. So.
Oh my goodness. That was great.
Yeah, it was. I had a story, but I think I just forgot it. Sorry. You made me get emotional. Sorry. No, it's all good. It's all good. If I remember it, it'll come back to me. It's just great to hear that. And, obviously I've been, she have all these different friends in the guard, and Olivia one of the great things she did as a leader is diversify. She doesn't have just her clique of people, and she made sure that the guard had a great sense of unity as well. And obviously over the time, I'm off to Mexican restaurants with her and her friends, and they're coming with us to go see Aiden at the Winds shows, and we're all hanging out, and she has her friends over. So that's a really, I mean, Jessica, you know that too. I mean, I'm just so glad that my daughter has these great friends that are great people, and they just so happen to be in my color guard too. And that was a really weird thing, obviously, that I never dealt with for 20 years of teaching the guard. This is my 25th year, but the last 5, that's been very interesting to be dealing with her friends who are in the guard, yet I get to know them on a really cool personal level because they go with us to have pizza and things like that. And that I will say it really did change me in a lot of ways over the last 5 years because before that, you can say, well, I'm a parent and I know what you're going through, but it wasn't until she was in it where I could really understand that, you know what I mean? That wave that goes through them and me, not for nothing, I'm a moody character. I mean, I had a parent that said a wonderful thing, it's a gift and a curse, you know what I mean? When you have this passion and these types of things, it's wonderful and it's also a curse too, because you tear yourself down in such a way. But the last couple of years have made me realize just, I think when I started doing Lincoln Way at first, it took me about 5 years to get that I was a teacher. At first I just wanted to write shows and I just wanted my thing and blah, blah, blah. And then it took me a bunch of years to be like, whoa, 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 I'm a teacher. Like, I am influencing these people. Oh my gosh. And then go the next 20 years, I guess. And I learned a lot of lessons along the way, but it wasn't really until she got in it where I could see how something that's happening in the guard, but something they took from school or however life is treating us, how that affects them. And it really has altered the way I deal with all of them too at times, because now I could see it. I could understand where she's at on a Tuesday when she's frustrated because she didn't do well in her calculus or something like that. You know what I mean? But I didn't ever think that way about what the kids are dealing with on the daily. You know what I mean? So.
I want to back up for just a second. We've talked a lot about the song, and I just want to say, Daniel, that the first time I heard the song, I thought, wow, this is really special. Of course, this is why they're doing the song, But as somebody that's been around the color guard activity for a really long time, like Olivia, for your information, I went to my first WGI Finals Olympics, was called back then in 1982 in Nashville. Okay, so I've been watching color guard a really long time. Yeah, I know, so I'm really old. But my point is, Daniel, you'll appreciate this. Like, my context for color guard is that, right? It started then, and then it was all about the song, and you're moving to the song, you're displaying the song, everything matched the music. So I'm one of those people that has a little bit of a hard time when there's all this stuff happening and I don't hear it, right? I know that's a style of color guard that people love, and I appreciate it, but I love it when I'm feeling and I'm seeing the music be displayed through the motion. And I felt like that's what was so special about this song, was that, as you said, as soon as you heard it, you were like, there it is. But as soon as I heard it, I had the same thing. I was like, okay, this is the kind of color guard that I love, because it's an emotional song, it's melodic, there's words that have meaning, and that's really made it special for me. I have a harder time with the shows that are a bunch of cool color guard stuff, but the soundtrack is just this thing.
That'd be a whole other podcast, but yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I call it the age of aesthetics. We're in the age of aesthetics, right? Rather than finding emotion or the intellect, it's a little more aesthetically driven right now. So I feel your pain in that. So.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, this was really special for a lot of us, and for me, it was especially special because of that, because I appreciated what the song brought and then how you were able to interpret it so beautifully.
Well, thanks. I mean,
and
like I said,
the blankets.
What, Mary?
I said, and the blankets. I mean, it was perfect for that.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Michael and he had a video which was kind of like a hip hop thing where they had done something with blankets in a different way. And we saw that, and you know, what we do is sometimes we'll put Voila on and we'll put this video on with no sound, and we'll watch something and be like, oh, there's something there, you know, and that was what drove us. You know, we were just trying to, you know, again, I think in Guardland we try to overthink a lot of things, and we really were just trying to find the right flavor, you know, and we just kind of put ourselves like, okay, who are these girls? Well, they're girls, they're vulnerable girls, and how can we do this? Well, it feels like they're in TJs, you know what I mean? And then Chad is obviously so brilliant at Dugan, and him coming up with a way for it to feel like pajamas, but still be, you know, having the lace and the stretch. It was all of those things, again, just kept coming together. And the blankets were, you know, when we got that and we played with that, and I will give all the credit to Michael Townsend about that, because, you know, we were staged in the beginning, and I remember, you know, going, you know, yeah, I think this is really cool. I'm a little worried about what we're going to do when we have the blankets and the sabers, you know, I'm really worried. And it was really cool. He was just, I remember him looking over at me and said, I got that. I've got a great idea. And then there we were about 4 days later in guard class, and I watched him do all, and they watched it too, and she had to do it. You know, all that cool stuff where he scooped the saber, the blanket, lifted it up, popped it over his head, did all of these things. And that was the day I was like, okay, shut up, Daniel. Yep, he's right. You know what I mean? And I gave him a lot of credit for that, because then I could be like, okay. And then when we just started putting them down in the S curve that we called and started creating different looks with it, then we knew, you know, at that point it was like, okay, what more can we do? And even to the end, it was that constant challenge. You know, what can we do? What else can they do? We were constantly asking them. You know, I like, one of the cool parts is even then they were throwing the sequence of blade tosses and throwing the blanket and popping the catches with the blanket. And, you know, as I said in a lot of critiques, the blanket had a mind of its own. I mean, it didn't always do what they wanted it to do. And that was another part that you can probably even see if you watch the videos a lot. They would throw them and it would go to the left. I mean, gravity is a weird thing with these, and no matter where it goes up and how it goes. So that was just another really wild thing that we were like, that is interesting, because it does have a sense of improv, not because they had to deal with it no matter what. It was always different for them. They wished it wouldn't have been, trust me. They, you know, if you asked the three of them that came up and slid it all around on the floor, they wanted it one way and they would try their hardest. But Olivia had to get it from the dancer girl. She had to put it down. She had to walk over and be like, the best you can is please put it like this so she can get it in there and do it. But, you know, all of that, when that all started to come together, we love the colors of Harvard, you know, so that's where it all came from, the ivory and the maroon and the gray. You know, Michael and I were like, God, that seems so cool and rich in a great way. So
yeah, I got very French too, like first I thought it was scarves, like, you know, voila is a French
lot of
word.
judges would call it the props or the material. It only became near the end that a lot of them, wait, you're on beds, these are blankets. And we were like, yes, they're blankets. And I mean, all of that was so just fun to work on, because no matter what, as we keep writing shows, it's always about what is something different for us, you know, and when we're scared of it, that's usually a good sign. You know, we were scared of working with it because we knew it had some things that may not, I mean, at first, I remember Olivia, she hated that part. She was like, I just hated it. It's always different and it's always strange. And we just kept saying, we'll get it, you know, we'll figure out how to make it right. But anytime we're in a project like that and we're a little afraid of it, that's usually a good sign for us too. So.
Olivia, I want you to talk about this.
Yeah, it was just unpredictable at times, and we ended up having, you know, there's only so much that you can control when it comes to the blanket. So we had little things that were changed because the unpredictability made it inconsistent. But in the end, it was also something that you kind of had to learn how to deal with. And
yeah, I think you had one moment even at the rehearsal where the blanket just kind of went away from you.
That was the rehearsal before WGI.
Yeah, and she got really frustrated. I would have to just walk up to them and be like, I thought that was brilliant how you dealt with that. Like, if you've got to make an adjustment right there, and you're making one in real time in a run, you know, and she would get frustrated. I'd say, Do you have any idea how cool that is? That you are dealing with it in real time, and it never skipped a beat. And I knew it was something that we didn't want it to be, but you didn't let anyone else know it was that. So
If it's just not something that you can control, the most that you can do is try your best. So that's just kind of our mindset with it all. You just got to try as hard as you can. And a little bit of it is hoping that it's correct, hoping that it does work out. But another part of it is being able to make that adjustment and fix it if it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, the audience, especially the audience that knows what they're watching, it's thrilling to watch someone make that kind of recovery with grace and excellence. Like that can be some of my most thrilling memories ever of color guard shows were that when someone did something miraculous to save something or whatever, like that just shows their mastery and their excellence and their confidence. And that's thrilling for the audience to get to see.
I mean, there's a great post online today with a friend of mine talking about our feature girl in the corner catching that toss after the silent moment with the ripple. And that her name is Adele. She's a wonder. Hi, Adele. She's a wonderful young lady. And in warm up, a lot of the year, she caught that on her knees with it flat. And in warm up, it was high. She stood up and caught it flat. So we were like, all right, good job. Just make any adjustments you got to make. You're always talking to them with that. And funny enough, when you watch the finals run, she underthrows it, stays on her knees, and catches it at port, which, as we all know, is way harder than catching it at flat. And it's so great that the post goes on and on with people like, everyone went crazy because she nailed it. But if you really know it, she nailed it. And that's not the normal thing she does. Yet she just, but we talk about it a lot with, hey, you're a soloist, whatever it is, as long as you make it great, you'll bring the house down. And that was so cool to see her in that moment make that adjustment that we all talk about with our kids. Like, it's okay, just do it. But, we talked about it with her today in class, and she's just like, I love you guys. I love you guys so much. You're so supportive. And it's like, Adele, that's a brilliant move. That's a brilliant move. You made the right choice in that moment of how to make the moment great. Because we always say, you don't have to be perfect for us to be incredible. You don't have to be perfect for us to be incredible. We can be incredible and not be perfect. So
Near perfect with a 99 point.
Yeah. The expressions and the videos of her, all of that stuff is just so fun. I was just standing there with Michael because I mean, obviously Arcadia had such a great year. What a great show. I love them. And, Michael and I were standing there with each other. And we're like, that would only happen because Arcadia was so good and pushed the numbers as well. And they deservedly so. But when that happened, we were kind of like, I think something's about to happen. I didn't know, but it was just great to see the kids because that, obviously, that when they knew they were good early season and mid season, you're trying to find these carrots, you know what I mean, these things that they have to work for. And of course they set their eyes on the Tanner year. They were like, well, we want to beat that guard. And it was like, okay, well, the bottom line, I would keep saying to them, I was like, A, it has to work out with the numbers of other guards, and B, we have to be great that night. Nothing will matter. Nothing like that will happen without hitting it on the night of finals in front of that audience. So it was cool because it wasn't something we strayed away from. We talked about it. We were like, if you want that, then we have to be incredible that night. And I'll still say, I don't know that I thought they were about to be that incredible. And that's because it's their kids, and it is what it is. You expect there will be things that will happen, but I mean, they just got on a roll and you could feel it. What you were right, Tim, is like the audience is so intelligent at WGI. That's always been my favorite. You were there for Blessed Sack. You were there for the Cavaliers 83, and like, it was great. I got a lot of great emails from people like, this show is up there with those iconic finals performances. And that is probably the coolest thing that I heard. And we were all trying to figure it out because I was there for Cavaliers. And I was there in the room with Blessed Sack, and I was in the room with Miamisburg. That 91 Marilyn Monroe thing was off the hook. The audience was stupid. It was incredible. And then Aimachi, there's been some pretty darn special years of them performing finals in front of the audience like that. And, it just, for them to do that and put themselves in that, I mean, I'm in awe of them. They're my, I've been like, you guys are rock stars. That was just the fact that when they knew it was happening, then they just kept getting better. It was like, okay, this is fun now. This is a lot of fun.
Olivia, do you want to speak to that? Like, first, I guess, how you felt about that high score, and then also how you feel now, being a part of a performance that people are saying is going to kind of go down in history here.
It's just really cool to know that all the work that we put in over the season, it really did pay off. And it was just an amazing moment for all of us because, that's always something that people want to do. You always want to go above and beyond, but to actually do it with that team and those girls was just really special for all of us.
So, Jessica or Mary, do you have any other questions you came with that we didn't get to? We covered all of it with what you came in with? I think we have. I just want to make sure. Okay. Well, then I'm going to ask Olivia, what would you like to say as we're finishing up here? I'll give you a second to sort of think about it, but like, do you have some advice for someone, or do you want to sort of wrap up how you feel about your season or the friends that you were performing with? What color guard is meant to you? Like, is there anything you want to say in closing? I would love for you to.
I mean, color guard is the world to me. It's my favorite thing to do. I love it just so much, and I've learned so much from it as well. I would say technique is very important. It's the most important thing. If you can do 100 double fast, you can nail a 6 on the left side. Left side is very important, so do the left side. And then also just like, I always just am so thankful for the guard and the girls in the guard, because you are who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with passionate and just incredible, intelligent people, then that's who you are, because you're influenced by that. And there's not a single girl in that group that isn't that. And I'm so proud of them. I love them. They're my best friends. And I'm just so grateful for them that I got to be in the garden with them. It's an honor.
I like that Mary saw that, because it was all those things in a world where now a lot of us have all these 128 count exercises to teach the kids. When Olivia would ask me, what do I need to be great, I was like, you need to be strong enough. You need to physically be strong enough, and the only way you're going to do that is backhands, double fast, all the things that I did. I don't think for a second that those things don't work anymore. They work. Like all of the other things, like, yes, we have the best dance instructor in the activity with Jennifer. She teaches us all of that. I don't think it's all about us having to do all of that. When we're doing technique, we're focusing on the building of strength, and how do we get them to hit it and to be aggressive. And I learned all of that from all the people that have taught me as well. And it was just so neat. As she kept getting great, I would be able to say to her, because she can do all of it. If you asked Olivia right now to do 500 double fast on her left side, she could do it. And she would profess to the kids, this is how I got good. I got myself so that I could do anything I needed, so my wrist strength was strong enough to accomplish the things they wanted me to do. And, I think for more than anything, she's the poster child of that. We really, we have a 20-foot ceiling. She would do consecutive triples in my living room when she was in 8th grade, and she would bam, pop, boom, stop it hard, hit it long, pop it out, you know what I mean? And it was just amazing to just try to get her to realize, well, those are the things. Don't worry about these other tricks. Don't worry about all this other stuff. You've got to just get strong enough to handle all these things. And she did it. And what's great is, as the kids have all been coming through, she's just teaching that, and I don't have to, and trust me, if anything, I'm more upset that we'll miss her. I keep begging her to come and help us. If she doesn't go to New York, if she goes to IU, I want her to help us as well too. And I, Olivia and I will sit in the car at times, and she'll tell me about ideas she has for songs. So don't let her fool you. She has ideas too. And I've always been like, I like that, Olivia, you know what I mean? And I think it's cool that she wants to do what she wants to do, because I think it's a skill that she has. She really has perfect pitch. I'm going to hype on her a little bit. Olivia can pretty much hear anything and then apply it to her violin in a way that you'd be like, how did you know it started on that? You know what I mean? She has an incredible ear for those things as well. And I think that all of those things served her really well. All of the orchestra, her violin has served her really well to be a master of understanding, subdividing, all of those things that made her strong. So I give so much credit to her mother. Forget Daniel. Her mother's a genius in the way that she set up. I mean, we were doing kinder music. Did you do kinder music ever, Jessica? It's this crazy thing where we're all sitting in a circle with all these other 2-year-olds and we're all singing, and it was nuts. And I would never have known anything about that. But my wife, Sarah, was like, well, we have to get them in these things because that gets them playing instruments and being involved in it. And I think that's where they fell in love with music. It's where they fell in love with every bit of what we do. And it's been cool, obviously, the last 5 years for them to be like, hey, Dad, you're not so bad at this thing. You know, one of our favorite things is Aiden, you know, he'll be like, well, I think you're doing, he'll be so mad at me when I'm doing it. Because he'll be like, well, you're no Scott Chandler, though. And I'm like, well, few are, you know, and he'll be so mad that I said that one. And I've told Scott as well, too. I'm always like, well, you know, I mean, I'm trying my hardest here. I agree. He is the greatest of all time. So let's not take away from that. But it's so fun to be a dad and to watch them grow in it and love it, and knowing that we didn't try to make them do that. Yeah, I think one of the reasons they love the Blue Devils is they know we love the Blue Devils. My wife and I, all the time, when we would go to DCI with them, we were like, I think they're the best. You know what I mean? Yeah, why do you like them, Dad? Well, he does things that, and him and Jay do things that I don't know how to do. I don't know how they set up these ideas. And to me, I still am trying to learn that. So I think we had a little shove that we just kept telling them how much we loved the Blue Devils too. So we always did. I'm not really, though. Well, that's still good. I do love the Blue Devils. I can't wait to go tour with them for a week and a half this year. I'm so excited that my kids are a part of it.
Well, Olivia, I hope you have just the most fun. I mean, how could you not? We know you are, but I hope that you have so much fun this summer, and enjoy every minute of it. It's going to fly by. So enjoy every minute of it, and I hope that it's super fun. And I want to thank you, and Daniel, you as well, both of you, for taking time to stop. I know how busy you are. You're still sort of coming down off the season, but thank you for stopping and sharing all this with us and being vulnerable and being honest. And I loved every second of this. Absolutely.
I know when
Daniel,
you and I talked
thank
a
you
little
so
bit
much.
about it. I mean, I knew that I know her, so I knew. I mean, I'm blown away by her right now as well. So I mean, I just sit here and go, wow. I mean, I'll get off this thing and cry as well, because I'm so proud of her. I'm sure when her mother sees this, and all of us, we're so proud of her.
Well, Olivia, I want you to know that you have made an impact on the activity. You have made an impact on the activity. You made an impact on all of us here tonight. And I want to thank you for that. We all have high expectations to see. We're going to be following and see what you do. Whatever it is you do, we know you're going to be wonderful at it. Whatever you decide, wherever your life takes you, we know it's going to be excellence, and it's going to be fun to follow. So thank you for that. And I just have a great time.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Sign up for a membership to Marching Arts Education to get complete access to all webinars, videos, and podcasts, plus discounts on coursework. Many directors are using professional development funds through their school or boosters to make these resources available to their staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com.